I also have a stand-up note for this particular thing. So in today's session, we'll be capturing how to create the BRF workflow and plus workflow. And when I say step-by-step process, it includes both SAP GUI system as well as the BRF plus interfaces as well as the NWBC. So the components that are involved are there are many components that are involved. Okay, so what we're going to do is first do the configuration in the GUI, SAP GUI. All right, so this is the first step. So GUI based configuration on the on-premise system. And then what we'll do is like we'll create workflow in the BRF plus system. I can say like BRF plus environment. Third one is we're going to create, I can say like, yeah, we are going to create and approve requests from the NWBC environment, right? And finally, verify the updates in the SAP standard tables. This is exactly what we're going to see. Right. So before we start the session today, do you guys have any kind of questions from the last situations, I mean, last sessions? So if you have anything, let me know. I don't see Nidhi. Yeah, Nidhi is here, Naveen is here because I'm seeing the major people are here around. All right, cool. So if you guys have any questions from the previous sessions, please feel free to raise it then and there. But today, this is what we're going to see. So we're going to see doing the basic configurations of understanding the change requests and giving that particular change request over to the BRF environment. And whatever we're planning to do in the BRF environment, we will be checking that parallelly by giving a request in NWBC and verifying these updates in the standard SAP standard tables. So this is what we are going to do. And in addition to that, there would be some kind of a basic understanding for tomorrow's session. Like today, if you ask me from the MDG part, what are the things that we do? We are doing the config. We are doing the workflow. We are doing the change requests. And we are doing the approval. This is what the 4 activities that we're going to do today. Tomorrow, what we are going to do is we're going to speak about validation and replication. We cannot create a replication system. So, but what we can say is like, I'll show you how a replication happens, all the necessary configurations and a guided document also. So validation as well as replication. And let me try these two along with the BRF plus workflow. But these are different. That's why I've just separated it. I'll tell you why it is different. Validation happens in the field level, right? Whereas your approvals happen in the environment level. So that is the only difference that it's going to contain. So that's why we don't want to keep it hand in hand. So that's exactly what is the idea. So any questions, you can raise it, put it in the chat, get things cleared, and that's how we'll take this up forward. All right, so let's get started. So hopefully you guys can see my SAP screen.
Not SAP, actually, your Windows screen, I see it.
I mean to say
Yeah,
remotes. Can you
remote
see
system.
SAP logon
Yep,
here?
yep, yep.
Okay, good. All right. Thank you. All right. So now we're going to do a few steps in the SAP GUI first. All right, this is my SAP GUI. Now, the connectivity between SAP GUI and BRF Plus is already there because when you install this MDG component in your GUI, automatically um, the extensions or the API connections, everything is already made. So it is understood that you don't need to get along with any kind of doubts whether this is configured or not. Every system, when they call it as an when they call it as an MDG machine, it means like it is all predefined and it's available by default, right? So that's the kind of an understanding that you should be having. Now let's get into it. So the transaction code that I was talking to you about with respect to doing the configuration in MDG, what is the transaction code, guys? Put it in the chat. Please be proactive today. What is the transaction code that we use for doing the MDG level configuration?
It's
MDG,
MDG,
IMG.
IMG.
IMG, right? So MDG, IMG. So we get into the transaction code. So you see lots of differences in this structure with the respect to different um, patch levels and stuff like that. So your this level will not be the same for all the systems. So sometimes you have a drop down or you have an expandable branch in general information. If you're not seeing an expandable branch in general information, just go in classic mode in central governance, and then you can see general settings here, right? So usually look out for a general setting option. When it is coming under central governance, that is exactly what you need. So far, I have seen only two combinations. One is it is available under the general, it's directly giving us a general settings at the top, or you have to go into the central governance part where general settings would be available. So either way, in general settings, right? So you can do lots, everything that you configure, you do validation, everything happens at this particular level. For example, I'll show you. So we did a small data modeling on this level, right? And I was showing certain things on the, not on the UI, but I've been showing certain things on the process modeling exactly over here. And if you see, there is an option to go with the data transfer also. We'll see this part tomorrow because we need to get this connectivity done and all these things. And I don't know how much feasible that we will be able to do it in the demo system, but this is exactly how that works. But if you have a hands-on to any of the sandbox environments, you have a better chance of doing this forward. All right. So now the first process of creating, before creating any kind of a workflow, is setting up the change request. So what is a change request? Anyone? Okay, let me tell you. A change request is a combination of, you can say like data containers plus, you can say when I say activities, what it has to do, you can say like activities with the data respect to containers, you can mention. So third one is very, very important. It contains it stores, you can say, it stores the last action point. Just remember these things. As of now, this is enough. Let me go here. I'll go into general settings. Then I go into process modeling. Once after I go into process modeling, I go into change request, and in the change request, I'm going to create or change request type. This is what I'm going to do. So usually we cannot create change request. We should not create change request from the scratch. The main reason being, if you miss out one option in the change request, then you're going to suffer for the rest of the workflow. So it is always wise to choose from the existing option, and whatever you would like to choose, you can just go ahead and choose that. Each requests, we call this as a change request. Each change request is equipped with, for example, this is what we're going to take, but I'll tell you. Each change request is associated with the kind of entity type. You can say, with this change request, address can be changed, header information can be changed, and the what is this? BPREL role, maybe role can be changed. I'm not sure what this is, but role can be changed. Go back again, check this. Just go with business activities here. There is a create business partner activity associated with it, right? So you have to see if your requirement is very much associated with business partner. Today we'll see how to create a business partner and how to set the flow. That's what you're going to see. But you can see here there are various attributes or various types of change requests that you can use to get your different types of requirements. For example, this is the create customer. I go into the create customer and okay, sorry. I go into the create customer. I go into the entity types. Again, you can see address, header, and the other field. Again, go into, so like that, you have to understand what you're going to do and how this is going to be linked. So you can do it with create customer also. And you can follow the same thing for whatever kind of process that you might have, right? So make sure your requirement, your scope is very, 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 very clear. So if your scope is clear, you should be able to get your activities or get your requirements done. And pretty much the way that we do these requirements are the same. The way that the strategy, or you can say like the step-by-step processes that we would be involved in creating this would be more or less same. I would say 99.9% same. Only the field level changes, and only the there are certain things that you have to note. For example, if you see BP1 P1, the workflow that is set is a rule-based workflow. When you see this 86 ending with 086, then it's a role-based workflow by default, right? Similarly, where do you see customer create? Okay, you can see supplier, right? The workflow is the same or different? This is 86, this is 005. So they have created some kind of a static workflows. So you have to change, if you're dealing with any kind of a standard elements, you have to make the change to this particular workflow so that all these things are aligned towards it. So that's the main major thing. And if you go ahead and see, where is that customer create? Okay, let's say this is a customer create, and this is a customer create, and there is a difference in the workflow. Again, and someone has arranged a static workflow to it. Just go ahead and change it. In your case, you will never, in my experience, guys, I have never used a static workflow so far. So whatever I have used is a rule-based workflow from the start till now. This is the scenario that I'm carrying out. All right. Now let's go and get the next step done. So the next step would be, this is what I'm going to do. As I said, you cannot go ahead and uh, create your own type. So I'll make sure I'll create a copy of this, right? And I'll rename that to my requirement. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to select this, and here is a copy. I'm just going to create a copy. And here I'll just say, because it's created by me and I have to give my namespace. I'll say Y BP1 P1, and let me say this as CG, okay? And I'm just saying CGI, all right? So once I say that, and I'm just gonna save it, I'll just click on enter, copy all the items inside that is copied. I'm just going to say okay. Okay, so you can see the newly created change request is available here. But before we go ahead into it, we have to make sure whether the workflow is 086 and go into it, entity type, whether all these entities are available, and go back and select it again. See whether the business activity is available. If this activity is not there, which means your change request has not got connected with the actual BP transaction code. So this is responsible for that particular action, right? So now I'll just go one step back. I'll select the first one and I'll save it. Don't mind what is here. Until there is an error message coming up here, do not worry about it. So I've saved it. Now you have created a change request. Now how to check whether this change request exists in our system, whether it is successful or not? Just go ahead and open up so go with NWBC. Okay. Are you seeing my NWBC screen, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'll just go with NWBC and this one opens. So now what I would do is I would directly get into the business partner governance and I will start clicking on the search business partner. If I click on the search business partner, this particular search screen would come. Now, in order to see whether the change request that I have created has come in place or not, what I will do is I'll click on new, I'll click on organization, and you can see the create business partner for that organization has come. Is that clear so far? Any questions?
This naming convention we give for the new ones, Asit.
Yeah.
So is it supposed to be generally how it is done? Generally on other objects we put it at G,
For
right?
for
How?
example, for example, the first one that you see, Sri, is the standard one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right now, usually what companies would do is like when there is a top on what you currently do, we will not disturb the standard one, because if we lose the copy of the standard one, again you have to request that to the SAP, and that might be a revamp of all your systems. So what we do is we create a copy and we usually name it as new one, new two, new three, kind of a thing. And once
Mm.
you've created that new naming, inform the new naming with all your project team that this is what is the new naming standard, right? That is the only way to do it. But otherwise, there is no specific name holders for this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. So now let us go and understand one more thing, right? I'll just do a right click over here and go into the technical information. And this is the technical information for the BP transaction code. And what we're going to check here is go into the application configuration, just click on it. So it will be opened in the new screen. Scroll down. The BO number that has been assigned to this is 147. Okay, just note it out somewhere, 147, and open the component configuration. And the component configuration, okay, if I click on new, what is the logical action? Create, right? These two things must be checked, and you have to validate this along with whether this is exactly how you're planning your system. For example, 147 and create, we have seen here. Now let me go into MDG IMG. This is how I do it. So I'll just go with the basic thing, go with general settings and process modeling. And there is something called, yeah, see here, business activities is there. And is there anything called create business? Yes, over here. Okay, cool. So go here and select that particular type. So if you remember, the current thing that we want to do is BPP1. Guys, you remember inside our change request, BPP1, BPI was the component that was present, right? And no, not I, it is BPP1 is the component that was present inside the system. And see, this is create business partner and BP business partner 147, and it is of logical action create. That does make sense. So you can ask me a question. Okay, Ashik, we have already passing the same business partner out there. What are the what are the possibilities that this might get changed? Why are we checking it here? Because we understand that by default, because we are passing the same BPP1 action there, but why are we checking it here? Very simple. There might be, as Shri rightly said, see, if you see, I only created 3 requests. Now the problem is, in your system, there might be hundreds of requests for the same BP. And someone would have created a customized BO type so that it does a different set of action instead of the standard action. So if your intention is to create, and if your intention is that you have to copy from an existing change request, then you have to make sure to check these particular things before initiating the workflow. Again, I'm stressing these particular things before, because the workflow creation process is not a normal process, right? So we'll be creating a very complex workflow in place. And once after create, if you're not noticing these initial things, then it will complicate your future steps. For example, you would have spent 2 days to create this workflow, right? A complex workflow you would have created. But by executing it, if it is not running, then the problem would be, the basic problem would be from here. So again, what you have to do, you cannot just go back and reassign this value to the workflow. You have to again reconfigure the entire workflow. I hope that is clear. Yeah. All right. Now let's go back. Let's leave the business activity for some time. And now it's time to go ahead and see the configuration of the workflow. Now you can also see the cardinality appearing in the previous process, right? So it is 1 to many cardinality, right? One business partner can be used with any number of sub options. That's called as a cardinality. If you remember, when we are setting the business process model, data modeling, we were learning about the cardinality principles, right? Let's leave this. Now let us get into the workflow part. So same navigational mode. Instead of change request, now you're going into the workflow part. Guys, there are lots of things that you have to do in the workflow part, and I don't want to get you into a different mode, but all I need you to understand is before configuring your steps and all these things, I want you to check some of the prerequisites that are very much needed. So I'll first go with activity event type linkage. Okay. So these are the important steps that you should always consider. The main reason is if you see any one of this object not assigned with the receiver type, then your system will not work. Leave this. This is into a different view. This is not a standard one. But if you see the WS part, right, for example, something on the standard side and something on the create, because you're doing the create action. If you're seeing that, then this will not work. Immediately what you have to do is like get clarification from your basis team and check like why this entry is there. If they say there is no issues, just there is no issues. You don't need to worry on that. The second important fact is you configure the workflow tasks. So I just go into this. I would say this is a major step. And what we have to touch is not on any of these particular things as of now, right? I'm going to touch on the CA MDG AF, which is nothing but your application framework. And inside application framework, you can see the activities that are mostly needed for us. Data modeling is there, workflow is there, APIs. This is for the basis team, but they will give us the object and we have to do it, right? And hierarchy processing, mass change, edition, and change document. All these required scenarios would be there. Now, for instance, if I'm going with data quality, who takes care of this? Cleansing activity, who takes care of it? Duplicate check, data enrichment. So these are a part of MDG as well, right? So who takes care of these activities? Anyone? Do you have a guess? Yeah.
It'll be functional people or not
It's
sure.
going to be a functional people who knows MDG and that particular module, right? Absolutely. So we have to have this feature because this is a data level information. So what you're doing is an application level information. What you're doing is an application level setting. And what you will be doing here is a record level setting, right? This is what you have to understand. Because when you speak about quality, we speak mostly about individual record, because that is the core idea about like how this is going to be used. Right? This is one step. Now, final step is your replication, right? So only three things that you can do in governance. One is these ones, the other one is these ones, the other one is these ones. This is usually set by the basis team, right? Because they take care of this IDOC, they take care of this data replication framework, right? You can see here DRF, right? So they might go with file transfer, they might go with IDOCs, they might go with any kind of an RFCs, right? That is entirely up to them. But these two are assigned to us, and we are only seeing this today. Tomorrow, I can show you this process, but I cannot associate this particular process with this, right? So I can show you this process, but I'll tell you like how you can associate it. So don't worry about it. We'll do this tomorrow. Any questions? Someone has unmuted. All right. So far, any questions, team? Please stop me there, then and there, and ask your questions. It will be very, very useful for you to ask it right now, then and there, please. All right. I think so far it's good. So now I'll go ahead and assign this particular agent. I'll click on this assign agent. It will usually take some time because all the application frameworks available on this particular system is going to be available here. Okay. This is what I was talking about. So check if the application list, the framework list, right, that is starting with TS, right, starting with TS, everything that is assigned with the task, general or a background task or not. You can see here, till here I have TS requests. So all these things must be assigned with either a background task or a general task. This is a mandatory thing. Now, if you're not able, if for example, this is empty, then I have to just click on attributes. If you have permission, just click on this line. I'll just click on attributes. I'll just don't do that here. Click on attributes and you have to change that to general task. You cannot change anything to a background task. You can only, if that is empty, you can select that and change that to the general task. If there is anything that is empty here and if you have not noticed that, then your application will not work. I guess that makes sense. That won't work. Now, one step back, and again, we have checked whether this is working fine or not. Again, we'll go back to the main area, and you can see there is an option called define change request type. We'll just go inside. These are some defined change requests that is by default available in MDG. We don't disturb that until you have a specific requirement saying to disturb this. So until then, do not disturb this. Go back, but you can see these are all editable components. You can always change this, but if there is a standard available, just go with the standard. Please do not touch this up. Now you can see here, define change request steps, types, and assign actions. So let's go into this. And you can see these are the set of actions that are available for each request. For example, guys, if you remember, I was talking to you about um, actions associated with the workflow, right? So the main actions that are associated with the workflow, especially there is a numbering that I told you that you will be able to see. These are the numberings associated with that action. So if this has changed, right? If that's why I did not give you those particular numberings at that point of time, because these requests are not, these numberings are not the same. There would be some customizations at your level, in the client level that you're working, and everyone might have a different description towards this number. So if I am using one for a check change request action, which means one would be approve change request option in the customer's environment. So learning this or by hearting this will not help you guys. So this is the important catch here. These number standards will be entirely different, right? Now I'll just select this and I'll see what are the assigned actions. See, agree and disagree. And similarly, not everyone will be the same. Let's see here. See, approve, send for revision. Just go here, finalize processing, withdraw. So this one changes to the requirement of the customer. So we are not going to change anything, but it is good that you always see, because when you're configuring this workflow, you'll understand what are the major things that you have to be worried about. All these things are what you're going to be worried about, because the process that we do is a straightforward process. We need to put some efforts only in certain places, but it's a very straightforward process. Okay, any questions here? Okay, all right. So then these things are just sometimes it's to deal with the configuration. If someone has asked you to do this, right? If someone has asked you to do this, you don't need to change the standards. That's my advice for you. Instead, you can create new entries and do some other alternations here, like say add C and say what is your new request, and then take a screenshot of that and say like, hey, these are the requests that I've done. I've not disturbed anything or any kind of a standard one. Or you can say like, if they say It's confusing when the others are configuring, because there is two check change request. One you have created with C and one is one. What should we do? Because that's why you have to take a screenshot and send. This is what we are using now. Yeah. I don't know immediately if you get requests like this, because I got a request like this one time very immediately. So it's my duty to tell you this. But if you have any questions, like what Nidhi or Navin's Suman's team is doing, I don't think so. You get request to this particular level, but it's always good to um, know these scenarios. Because tomorrow, if an MDG implementation project comes on your way, then these kinds of steps you might receive, right? But I'll give you a notes for this particular thing. Don't worry, but just understand this. Any questions, guys? All right, let's go back. Now let's get into the rule-based workflow. And if you see here, there are two things. One is a rule-based workflow and other MDG workflows. Other MDG workflows is nothing but your static workflows. These are defined set of steps that are assigned. No one, maximum 99% you will not use this one. So you'll always be using rule-based workflows where it is highly customizable and the steps are very lengthy, and that's usually the way that the workflow models works. Right. Now, let us get into the rule-based workflows. And inside the rule-based workflows, let's see, there are three steps, right? One is the define change request steps for the workflow. So now you've created a change request, and for that change request, you're going to create a workflow steps for it, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to click on the IMG activity to create it. So you can see there are lots and lots of activities available. So you have to go back to your change request to understand what your change request is. Okay, let's go here. We created with a Y namespace. This is ours. We go back saying like define change request type, and I'm going to say new requests. And you have to put your change request name over here. Let's say this particular change request name is this, and I'm just going to say 00 and 00. If you remember, it is a requester. Again, put this change request name, and this is going to be 10. This is going to be a reviewer. Again, put the change request name, give it 20, and this is going to be a approver. Again, 30. This is going to be a activate. Again, 40. This is, I think, your resubmit. Again, this is 50. This is your rollback. Final thing, which is 60. This is here complete. Right? Now, click on save. One step back. Check to see whether you have all your fields in place. Yeah, it's over here. You can see 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4, 0, 5, 0, 6, 0, and starting with requester and complete. Are we clear? Yeah, I guess this is very clear. Now let's get on further. So now everything is set. from our side, change request is then assigned to your rule-based workflow, and now we are going to configure the rule-based workflow. So now you can see here there is an activity called configure rule-based workflow. So the moment I click this particular thing, the BRF screen would get opened. So you can just click this and you can see the BRF screen gets open. Now here you have to click what is the change request that you have assigned, because only then all the activities that you're going to give are going to be within it. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to click on this to check where my change request is. You can see here, this is my change request. I'll select here and I'll click on the continue. So you can see for what you have created, the BRF workflow has created the set of catalog for you, a structure for you. Now, there are different things available here. Which one you have to go with, right? So that's something that you have to understand. Only the decision table is what you have to go with. So you should not touch on anything else around this to get started. And if you want to see what are in these particular things, so this is a change request which is already brought up by the BRF plus. And what are the trigger function? Trigger function also we have already set. The rule set, yes, it's already done. And this also is already done. So the only thing that we have to be worried about is these three tables. And pretty much if you remember, I think these tables I have explained to you in the before day about single value decision table, user agent decision table, and non-user agent decision table. It's very, very, very important. And if you have not seen it, go back and just see that and come here. Now you can see here, I'm just going to first start with a single value decision table. And in this single value decision table, you have to think towards two things here. When you're doing some action, this green colors might change. Green color denotes it is activated. If this is not green, then somewhere you're not activated or some kind of a error message is showing that is stopping you from getting this activated. Two important things. Now, I want to add something to this particular table. Whatever I'm going to add here is the flow of your workflow. The flow that you want to set the workflow to work with, that is exactly this particular flow. Right? All right. Right now I want to add something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this. And I'm going to click on this. And this is added. Now I'm going to click on edit row. Right. This is a screen that I'd be receiving. What is the previous step? See, the first step is I want to requester has submitted the request. So the previous step is, can I put 00? Because 0 is the previous, this is a requester number. And then what happens if the submission happens, it reaches to the reviewer. So can we name this reviewer as REV? And I'll say the step number as 10 and the CR status as 02. Again, this particular numberings changes time to time. You will need to get through these numbering via the T code that the configuration that I've shown you in some before some time. This would keep changing. So first of all, let's do this. And if you have any questions, let us take it up. So, okay, so click on OK. So now you can see a requester is assigned 00 for requester. A requester has been assigned, and the first step is done. So once after the first step is cleared here, what you have to do is immediately click on save. If you click on save, can you see this? The green has gone from here, and now you got to activate this. Click on yes. You can see these objects are activated. Guys, any questions till here? Okay, cool. Now let's get into the user agent decision table. Now, same way, I'm going to click on edit. I'm going to click on plus. I'm going to click on edit row. And what happens if the request comes to the requester? That is the point, reviewer. I'm just going to say condition equals to reviewer, and this is the numbering that comes from there. I'll just keep it as user agent group number as 1, and change value where it's going to go is number 3, and finally it is going to be assigned to a user. User is usually given as US, and again here my system name, the user that you are logged into, that system name will come here, like say S4 GUI MDG, whatever user that has been given to you, that is a username that you have to specify. Just kindly give me a minute, guys, please. Cool, guys. I'm sorry. There is a request from your team to explain more on the iDocs part. So I have to create support scenarios for that. Tomorrow, I'll make sure I'll explain you that more detailed. All right, cool. So you can see here, this is the step that we have created. Now we have two things here. One is I have done a single value decision. The point is from the requester to the reviewer, and then after reviewer reviews that particular thing, what he has to do. That's what we have done. Now let us go ahead and check whether this is working or not, because that is very, very important. Each and every step has to be checked. See, you would have enough time, team. You will have enough team to check. You have enough time to check whether each point is working or not. So no worries at all. You will have this particular time. You must check these particular scenarios before going forward. Yeah, let's do that. So anyone can tell me how to check it? Nidhi, you are already doing it. Can you tell me what to check?
Supplier, I think governance, we can check.
Governance, yes, that's what we have configured it for.
Change
And
requests.
change request, right? If you go with change request, can you see this? Just give me a minute. Okay, let us open here. It should come here. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, this is right. It's also right. So let's see. All right. Now let's go ahead and submit a request, right? So that's what we got to do. Let's go to the business partner and search business partner, the same one. This is a way that we create a request, right? We create search request partner and we enter a record. So I'm just going to say use this, right? Because one business partner might be associated with multiple change requests, right? I'm just going to say this, click on OK, and your business partner comes in place. Right. So now you have to see two things. One is the description. So usually just make your description very straightforward. So here I'll just make workflow testing for CGI. I'm just making no sense for this description. Just want to make sure for this that we get the right thing. Now you've given this and give the name one as any company name. Let's say CGI Corp is given. And in addition to that, let's give, because this contains address and all these stuffs, let's give this and let's give IN. Let's choose Karnataka. Yeah. And let's go with language EN. So click on enter. Let's see whether that is yes, it's all copied. And I don't think so. Yeah, we can just give one more. Let's assign a business role, a BP role for it. Let's go with the role. Yeah, we can go with org unit. BUP4 we can go. I'll select this. After selecting this, what I would do is no other fields to worry. I want you to focus on the process data team. That's very important. Focus on it. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the submit. Right now, when the time that I click on submit, you have to look into what happens to the status and what happens to the current work item. So I'll just click on submit. So it is getting submitted. Okay, can you see here? So changes to be executed, and it has come. It has went for the team to go towards the next level. You can see no buttons are active. So what I'm going to do here is let us put this down. And now we have submitted this request, right? So we have to check whether this request is available or not. So where do you check the request? So you'll go to the change request to check it. Before that, we'll do one more task. Let us go once here to the request and let's see. We will refresh it, and you can see this status might change when we refresh it. And you can see changes to be executed. Process change request has been raised, right? This is the request number, and this is how you do the change request. Now, this must be minimized, and let's see whether we got any request in our inbox, because I have given the username as my username, right? So I should be getting the request, change request info. Now I'll just click on the change request to see if there is anything publishing. Can you see this, guys? Workflow testing for CGI training. So this is the request that I got to approve, right? If you have given any other user, that is the who, see, whatever you give here as a username, SAP username, this approval goes to them once the initial change request is initiated. Now the point here is Nidhi has been given the approval request by someone else, so she has been routed as the key person to validate and accept or approve the data. So this was done on the workflow level, like what we did before some time. This is how it is. So let's see what is there inside this workflow. Okay, so you can see the workflow, yeah, change request number is correct. See, these are the usual items that we check, right? Everything is right. Now see, let's go ahead and see at the bottom. So there is nothing that is given here, right? But if you go to the previous screen, see this, guys, right? Finalize processing. But if I do the finalize processing, what happens? Did we configure anything for the finalize processing yet? We have not. So we have to go into the workflow again to do this particular process. I'm going to give a pass here, guys. If you have any questions, I'm happy to get this up and then we'll continue. Anyone? I'll give you 2 minutes.
Yeah, hi Ashik.
Hey, Nidhi.
Process here, right? It looks very different to me because in our project, what we are doing is we are not creating any kind of change request from our end.
Yes.
And the way it came to you, right? The way after you did the configuration, it popped up to you, right?
Yeah.
Similarly, for us, it pops up only when the Jaguar system sends to us. So
Yes.
the change request configuration is done in Jaguar, is it? We don't do anything in MDG in our case, right?
No. You have done every configuration in BRF Plus application. Always remember, Nidhi, BRF application is not a part of your MDG software, right? MDG system. So what in your case, what they would have done is they would have taken a interface or only the request that is going to hit the BRF Plus workflow. So there is a API between Jaguar system as well as the BRF Plus workflow. Got it? So what happens is whenever a request is submitted, it comes and hits the BRF Plus application, and then the workflow gets triggered. So it is not configured at the Jaguar level. It is still configured at the BRF level, and that's how you initiate the workflow.
Yeah. Thanks, Ashik.
Yeah. One more thing, Nidhi, to just add to that. Let's say your Jaguar system has got interfaces or your MDG system has got lots of APIs to do this connectivity, but you have to always think BRF is a part of the MDG system, right? And configurations on Jaguar is not readily available. Maybe there might be some integration hooks they might have given, but the configuration 100% is done in our system. That's the point.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Ashik.
Absolutely. All right. Any other questions? It might be a layman question, guys, because it's new for everyone. Even to someone who is working on the project, it's new. So what I'm explaining you is from an implementation perspective, how this is set. That's what is the explanation going on right now. So feel free to ask your questions because every question is definitely a learning point for you guys. Please go ahead. Because I might complete this in some time. But the point is like once you have your own understanding and you're not understanding this, then it's going to be definitely a problem. because it took me 7 iterations to go and complete one successful workflow when I learned this. Okay, so this is not simple. It is a confusing task, but that's why I've given you some more time to um, uh, come back to me on some questions. But guys, please ask questions. All right, so I hope it's clear till here. So we'll break for some time, not now, once after we set up these basic processes, and then we can go ahead. All right, so I hope let's continue. Now, the second important thing that we got to do here is we want to go ahead and do the second set of activities, right? So what are the second set of activities gonna look like? Just go with this single value decision table and just go with edit plus as usual. And you can see, make sure when you're clicking on the edit row, the new row is selected. So click on the new row. And here's what is the next scenario. So the previous step is a review, right? And review is 10. The previous action associated with that is 05. And this again changes with your configuration. And what it's actually doing, it's going to the approver. APP is approver. And that particular step is 20. And the value of the CR status is 0, 1. Okay. Now, with this, I'm going to click on the OK button. So the second process is done. Now I'll just go ahead and I'll click on the save button. There is some backup points that you have to know. So I'll show you that as well after this hands-on. If you have any questions, we can discuss that for sure. And all right. So let's say once you've added the approved scenario over here, we have, we can say like we can add one more step, which is mostly for your, which is mostly for ending this particular workflow in a better note. That's what we are planning right now. So there are two things that we did. One, we have started setting up this particular workflow, and then we have seen that particular request coming and sitting on the machine. And we did not go with finalized processing because some steps were missing. So what we did was we have gone through creation of the next step, which is into the approver step. And once after that, we have to associate a user activity to it, right? So click on edit and click on new and click on edit again. And this is again APP approver. And this user agent group is 1 according to this particular system. And this is actually the change of step value is 2. And here I'm just going to give this as a super user. I'm just going to say like you can say this is the last step or something like that. I'm just going to give the super user. But if you have a user assigned, you can just give that. And user value is INIT. So what is this INIT? I'll tell you. If I select INIT, the work item will be sent to the one who has initiated that item, right? So initiation is done by me. So I'm just setting the INIT here. Click on OK. You can see here, save and activate. Save activated two tables here. Right? Any questions still here, team? Okay, cool. I hope there is no questions. And we'll go here. Open your existing line item. Now you can see here finalize processing. Now go and do the refresh. Okay, you can see here. Now come down the two activities associated with that. So just give me 1 minute. Okay, sorry guys, sorry. We have to close this one. So let's close this. Can you see here? So now it has come to the next level. Now see, the idea that I wanted to do here is like, let's refresh this. So open this again, right? And that request still stays alike, right? But if you see the open request that we have created, and now we have, since we have added a point there you can see again finalize request and send for revision. Now the point that we have to take from here is to understand how this patterns are coming from one level to the other level. So if you're configuring one step in the workflow, then there should be some kind of a scenario very much associated with it. I'll come back here. We'll see more info and more input over here. But as of now, just keep this alike. And all right. So just before we start this, I just want to understand that there was a feedback that you guys have given about the iDocs session. So can anyone explain me what is what do you need in iDocs so that it would be very easy for me to prepare that? Anyone, please? I guess there was a feedback, but if you can explain me, it would be very good. Because again, if I take that concept, again, I don't want to I don't want to get into explaining that again, but you are not following that up, right? So just I'm checking that. So let me know. Just taking 1 minute to revise certain things. Just give me 1 minute, guys. Okay. Are you seeing my SAP screen, guys? Everyone?
Yes, Ashik. Yeah.
Cool. All right, just give me a minute. All right. All right. So let's continue. So meanwhile, like if that comes in your mind, please let me know. I'm happy to get this going. All right. So we have set this after workflow as well. Now I'll go back to my single value table, and I'll have to add one more flow here. So what I'll do one here is edit, click on the insert new row and click on the edit again. And here I'm going to say this step is equal to 20, which is a approver step. And the action that is associated with it is a 03. And scroll down, just going to this den class and say the next step is going to be activate. And the number associated with the activate is 30. And the value of that CR request is 05. This is what I'm going to put in here, and I'm going to click on OK. So now you can see there are 3 requests sitting down in the in my single value decision tree. There might be one more requests depending on what we're planning to do. We'll check that. Now let's go again. Requests. Okay, no change. That is fine. Scroll down. Now we'll add few more things, but this time I just want to continue with what I'm supposed to do, which means I'll just go to the non-user agent workflow table, decision table, and I would add a record here. Click on edit, and here I'm going to say this as ACT, which is activate, and the return value would be 1 as usual, and this is 05, which we have just seen. This is a non-user related action. So we have completed this. I'll activate it. Make sure, guys, you have to activate these things again and again, right? Now I'm going to say one more activity because I'm trying to complete this activity. I click on this again, click on edit, and this time I'm going to say complete, and this is 1, and for complete the pattern is 99, and click on OK. Now save it and activate it. So we have done these 2 actions. Now I'll add one more thing because I have to do the completion here as well in the single value table as well. So I'll go here, I'll add one more record, click on edit, and I'll say here as 30. And then you can come here to say conditional as complete, and the associated step value is 60, and the CR is 05. Click on OK. I hope we have mostly done everything. So let's see, save, let's say activate. Yes, you're activating it. Okay, this is already activated. This is already activated. So all these things are activated. Now let's go back to the request. And refresh it. Click on finalize processing. You can see the workflow is currently being processed. Refresh it. You can see to be considered an approved. See here, you have 2 requests, one for approve and one for reject. So now I'll go ahead and click on approve. And once I click on approve, you can see that particular business partner is getting touched here. So I'll click on approve. So let's wait. Wait for some time. Meanwhile, you can ask for questions. Let it update. Once this is done, we're going to have a 10 minutes session, 10 minutes time that we're going to take only on questions. I'll just go through each step, and if there is anything that is stopping you, you're going to ask it. And after that, I'm going to show you some kind of a troubleshooting scenarios. I'm going to show you something. I'll do it wrong and I'll tell you where to see it and how to come out of that. Yeah, clear? Okay, just let us wait for a few minutes. Maybe 1 minute it would take. If you would have got access to the sandbox environment, it would be very, very useful, because we would have created a scenario where one person is acting as a reviewer, one person is acting as a approver, one person would be completing that stage. That would be very good. We did that once with another vendor. But now that since we have not got anyone with us, so what we did basically is like creating our own user, my own system as all these role plays, right? So that's what we did. Okay, now we'll go ahead and we will try refreshing it and see here, you're able to see a business partner number getting created. Now let us see, once it has come here, let us go ahead and check our machine, my ECC going /OSE 16N, and we go with but 000. So this is the table where you can find business partner, and the business partner that got created, I think, is 113 execute. Yeah, we are able to see this, and the name of the company is CJ Corporation, and all the details